Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Wilkinson from the Office of Instructional Technology. Have you ever had one of those days where you get home from work and you are exhausted? You don't feel like cooking, you just want something that's ready to go and hot and exactly what you are craving at that moment? Well, in that case, you would probably call for some takeout food. And today I'm going to tell you about the digital takeout page that we have created for you that has exactly what you're craving anytime.
From our class link page, you're going to want to find the orange folder called Instructional Tech Resources. When you click to open the folder, you'll see several of our websites, and the one we're going to focus on today is the second icon, Digital Takeout. When you get to the main page, you're going to see the welcome message and the rationale behind the creation of this page, which is to make those ready to go activities for teachers. As you scroll further, you'll see some buttons that will navigate you around the page, but you will also see across the top a toolbar that we will explore today. If I can recommend one tab on this entire page, it would be the first one here, the Tools and Templates tab. And as you see, there is a drop-down menu of a ton of different resources, and they are coupled by topic. So beginning at the top, we have building classroom community. This page is going to be exactly that. It's going to be digital resources to help you build relationships in your classroom. You'll notice on the top of every single one of our pages, we have our rationale and description. And as you scroll down, you'll then find the resources for that page. So on this page, you'll see that we have some bucket filling resources. We have some classroom discussion starters. We have an interactive calendar that is in daily slides. You will also see that each one of these titles is a link. And when you click on the link, it will bring you to that a new tab to that application. In this case, it's a Lumio, and it's going to connect us to our account. It'll also often give us a preview. So here's the bucket filler activity. If I choose to use this template, which of course it also has the instructions here, it's going to prompt me to save it to my Lumio library where I can then make any of the customizations and changes that I want to. This has dozens of resources in all different forms and applications. So, for example, the interactive calendar here, we have that available in slides, in a Lumio format, and also in another additional Lumio with a different theme. Some of these are in the Google Suite, some of them are in Wixie, and oftentimes it will tell you in the title. For example, this Four Corners activity is a Jamboard. We also have a collection of choice boards under the Tools and Templates tab. We know that choice boards give students that voice and choice in the classroom, which often leads to ownership and hopefully better products. At the beginning here, we have all of our blank templates. So if you know you want to create a choice board and you already have ideas for that choice board, you can simply click on one of these links. This one happens to be Google Slides. As you see, some of our links will take you to a website. We want to make sure that you have accredited version of who is creating this. So to get this one, you're simply going to scroll down on the page and find the area where you can open in Google Slides, or you could also do in PowerPoint. And from here, opening in Google Slides, it's going to prompt us to then use the template after it gives us a preview. So maybe you don't love this one, you don't have to use it, but if you do like it, you simply click on Use Template. It may also have you make a copy if it's a Google Suite item. And from here, it saves it into your drive where you can then make the customizations and edits that you want to make for your students. And then once it's in your drive and customized, you can certainly share it in their Brightspace classroom. Additionally, on the choice board page, we have some pre-made choice boards. One of the ones I love is the Discovery Education choice boards. If you've not been to that link before or seen this before, I think you'll really find something that you will enjoy. When you click on some of these links, for example, in Wixie or Discovery Ed, it may prompt you to log in with your AACPS credentials, and that's just to ensure that you are linked with your AACPS account. But once you're in this case, it's going to lead you to the choice boards that they offer, that Discovery offers for all grade levels. You see over here, there's 72 different choice board options here, and it will also tell you what grade level in the title, but certainly you can narrow down at the top here by grade band. We have it set for activities, so I'm just going to click on this one, the grades to K to 2 learning choice board. They have these for holidays and for different academic areas. You can see that each of the setups is pretty much the same, where it has a menu of options that either you as the teacher can guide students through, or you can assign this to students to work on as well. It pairs discovery education content, such as videos or images, with activities, questions, and sometimes even a strategy. So in this one, the students have a ton of different topics. They're going to click on one that interests them, and it's going to bring them to a page where we have some of the content that they can listen to, and then something that they're doing either on paper or in another application. There are other choice boards here as well. Wixie has a ton of templated choice boards, but also some pre-filled in options for different academic areas. And I also love this novel study choice board that was created by Shake Up Learning. This is a great one for grades 6 through 12. Again, you'll simply just click on the link. It will load that page. In this case, it is a Google Doc. We're going to get a preview here on our screen of what it looks like. And if we choose to use it and modify it, we'll simply go to use template, where it will add it to our My Drive in Google Drive. Coming back to tools and templates, we have a ton of collaborative activities in this space as well. Remember, digital takeout is all about having pre-made activities and lessons so that you can just grab something on the go and use it with very little prep. So on the collaborative activities page, these are all going to be templates and lesson plans where students are able to collaborate together. So we see that we have some book talk collaborative activities. We have some grows and glows for peer editing. This is a great template ready to go with those sections for students to fill in. We even have some math resources in here. The human bar graph is a great one. I love doing that at the beginning of the year, and you see that it's available in two different formats here. As you can see, a ton of different, again, templates that are just simply ready to use. Here's one, the Think, Pair, Share. I clicked on the Jamboard version, and as you see, it's prompting me to make a copy of this. So sometimes you'll see the preview view, and sometimes you'll see the make a copy. Either way, when you go to that make a copy link, it's going to save it into your Google Drive. From here, you can make any edits, add images, and certainly add your students in to work on this assignment together. Back at Digital Takeout, there are other great options. A few more that I want to highlight are our game boards. And the game boards really help to have some fun in the classroom. We know that play is super important. As we scroll down here, there are some instructional game templates. So you can see there are some familiar games and maybe some new ones. It will often give the directions along with the game board. And these are things that you can use with your students, or even just as a teacher, you could throw this up on the board. For example, here is a Wixie version of a blank game board, and you could maybe ask review questions or have students respond on their whiteboards and then keep track of their pieces for working in teams going around this game board. And certainly, if you wanted to edit it, you would simply click on Customize, which again would save it to your Wixie account, or you could also share it with students from that Wixie as well. As you scroll down, there are so many options. Think about how fun it would be to do a Jeopardy game with the template already here. I know I've spent many long minutes searching the internet for a great Jeopardy template. As we scroll down a bit more on that games page, we have some community building games. These are some of those popular games. I love this section, especially for indoor recess. Imagine having some virtual games that you have shared with your students in Brightspace that they can play together. Here, for example, is a Connect 4. This is another one of our Google templates, and just a lot of fun for students to be able to work together and play a game. And certainly you could relate this to your content area, any grade level or academic area as well. Back to Digital Takeout, another couple of sections I want to show you is the graphic organizers. This, I think, is one of our most popular pages because it's one that students and teachers of all levels use. pretty much all the time. So on our graphic organizers page, we're going to have the main ones that we see often in our curriculum and that we use every day in our classroom, such as the Cornell note-taking sheet and the Freyer model. As you scroll a little bit further down, we have a couple of versions of Venn diagrams and story maps. And we also have all of our thinking maps in several different versions for teachers to use. One of the reasons I really like this digital takeout page is because not only is it quick resources, but it's also an opportunity for students to work in an application that maybe they've never worked in before. So this circle map, for example, is loading as a Google drawing. And if you or your students have never used Google Drawings before, this is a great opportunity to get them familiar with the Google Drawings toolbar and layering and adding images in a different application than maybe they're used to. Coming back to our page for tools and templates, I want to highlight that we also have some really fun pre-made activities under the inspired by popular real world platforms page. And if you scroll down, you'll see that we're trying to give a little twist to some of our social media platforms. And so we have Facebook and Instagram templates. These would be great when you're doing character analysis, just a different way for students to show their understanding. We also have this Amazon listing template, which I think is so fun if students have maybe created an invention or they're doing some sort of STEM project that they can do a write up about their product or what they found out in their investigation. We even have the LinkedIn profile. So maybe you're working with your students on future careers and they can create their LinkedIn profile. I love the idea of using the Netflix template or the Disney Plus template to do summarizing after they read a piece of text. And as you can see, there are a lot of other fun templates that just make the summarizing project a little more fun and interesting. Tools and Templates also has a social emotional activities area. And we know that SEL is so important in our schools these days. So these are going to give you some ideas as the teacher on what you can do in your classroom. Some basic things like a how are you feeling today that you could put into your bright space and get a pulse on how the students are doing or project it on your board for them to use the smart board for. There's also full lessons like this one, which is a heart mapping activity, which has teacher directions and also templates in several of our applications. So as you scroll down, you'll see that there are a lot of great resources here to do during your community circle or morning meeting time, uh, and a lot of great options in all of our applications. So, coming across to our next tab, we have virtual field trip experiences. And so, these are virtual field trip experiences that you can take your students on to explore the world pretty much on the fly with very little prep. So you'll see once again, we have our rationale at the top, and scrolling down the page, we have buttons on activity ideas and virtual field trip help. You also see a little warning here that says, due to the age restrictions on this site or their privacy policy, if you see this symbol, you want to make sure that the teacher leads the activity instead of assigning that particular activity to students. As you scroll down, you're going to see that we have created slides with virtual field trips on a ton of different topics. So, starting with our local attractions, these are places in Baltimore, Annapolis, and Washington, D.C., that are popular field trip destinations. If you can't actually get to those places, this is going to link you to their site, which gives you either a video tour or a place to explore. We also have all of our zoos and aquariums from across the country and even across the world. We even have some performing arts immersive experiences where students can view performances at our performing arts centers, as well as a huge variety of national parks tours. We have a whole section on space and museums, historical monuments, and literary field trips, which take us to some of our popular libraries across the country. There are art galleries and sports tours. We even have seasonal trips, such as haunted locations, and we have a whole section on math virtual field trips. So, to give you an idea of what each of these looks like, I'm going to click on the landmarks and wonders of the world, and you're going to see it's going to bring up a slide deck. For this particular one, it is organized by continent, and I'm just going to scroll through and show you some of the options of field trips for each of these continents. For today's purposes, I'm going to click on the Great Wall of China, and I do see that symbol, meaning that I, as the teacher, should lead this and not give this link to my students. But something like this one, I could certainly link to my students. For this particular virtual field trip for the Great Wall, it's taking me to the Air Pano site, which many of our field trips do link to. This site is an interactive site where students are able to zoom in and out of that location and move around. This is a great way to give them the scope of the place and also to show them the surrounding geographical features. Not all of them go to this site, but this is a really popular one. It's also searchable, and at along the bottom, you see that you can get several different views and different times of day. Coming back to our virtual field trip site, on that drop down menu, we have a second page here called Virtual Field Trip Activities. And these are activities that we've paired for you to go with our virtual trips or to use along with your in person field trips. And so as you scroll down on the page, you're going to see that we have some templated strategies and ideas for you to share with your students. So it could be as simply as them taking some notes as you go on your field trip using the Cornell note taking sheet. It could be an AEIOU activity. This one happens to open up to Wixie. And if you haven't seen the AEIOU strategy, this is a fun one. Students can use all of the tools and paint options in Wixie to express how they felt about the field trip using an emotion, something that made them say, oh, or something that made them question. And so this is a great way to launch discussion. Speaking of discussion, we also have a link here that will give you some of the discussion questions that you can ask and pair with your virtual field trip. Not only are these questions sectioned off by trip type, but we also have them uh, based on academic area. So, for example, if you wanted to ask some questions about geography, we have questions here that will launch a discussion. Same with math and science, social studies, and ELA. As we scroll down, there are some other great ideas for you to share with your students. Again, they could do an Instagram story based on their visit to that place, and they can certainly do a project from our paper to digital resources. I love this idea of using a passport, which opens in two different versions, Google Slide or Wixie. You could assign this to students and have them do a summary of what they've learned after their trip using one of these great templates. The final piece of our virtual field trip section is the virtual field trip help page. This is going to give you some additional resources along with a little vodcast here on where to find trips. So it gives you information on Google Earth and how to do Google Earth projects. It tells you about our Discovery Ed field trips that are available. It also gives you some other links where you can do some exploration to create your own virtual field trip experiences. So the next tab we have is our emergency subplan tab, and this is a new addition this year. The emergency subplan tab has information on emergency subplans that are digitized. So as you scroll down on the main page here, you'll see it's sectioned into elementary and secondary subplans. We recommend that you, of course, take a look at these, but then the idea is you could leave all of these for your sub if you had a day off. So, looking at our elementary subplan tab, as you scroll down, you're going to see that it is sectioned by grade level. So, we have pre K and kindergarten, grades 1 and 2, and our intermediate grades 3, 4, and 5. And for each one of those grade levels, there is a subplan template with a sample schedule. This is all created, if you click on the link, in a Google slide. So once again, you can see the preview when you click on that link. It's going to give a section for teachers' notes. It's going to be some messages from our office on what to remember on assigning things to students. Again, it has that sample schedule that you can fill in along with important information that a sub might need. We also have included dismissal plans and some additional space for you to write notes. If you are interested in using that, remember you go to the use template, which will save it to your Google Drive, and you can make your edits there. Along with each of the subplan templates, we have created 3 days worth of subplans that you can use with your students when you're out. These subplans have been made in Google Slides, and as you can see, there are important teacher notes along with everything that you would need for that day. You can also see that anything a substitute would need is linked in the slides for them, and it shows you the resources that we are using, which all came from the class links page. It also has student activities linked as well, with directions on how to get those to your students in Brightspace or each of those specific applications. When we're looking at our secondary subplans, it's a similar format, but the actual subplans here are not subject specific. They are more generic plans that any academic area could use if they're out of the building for the day. So we have a novel study tic-tac-toe board. We have some social emotional lessons. We have some lessons on digital citizenship. So this includes anything the teacher might need along with student resources that you can easily assign in your Brightspace classroom. Speaking of digital plans, we've created a section called Asynchronous Elementary Lessons, which is the next link on our toolbar here. Now, these are just for elementary students, but we have created some lessons for those asynchronous days should they arise. Again, it's partitioned into our grade levels. These are all created in Wixie, and you see that underneath of each of the days that we have created, we have the student link that teachers will assign, as well as the teacher instructions. And if you click on those teacher instructions for every lesson and grade level, you're going to see that it gives you the theme of the lesson, directions on how to use it, what resources you may need, along with how it aligns with our content standards. Then, of course, the lesson itself is going to open up in Wixie this time. And once it opens in Wixie, you are welcome to make your own customizations as you see fit. It may take a minute here to load, but you're going to see all of the day is in here. Now, of course, depending on your schedule, you may need to rearrange. For example, the math and the literacy block may be in different times of the day, so you might need to rearrange those. But the idea is that students could complete these independently when you had a asynchronous day. Here it is, the Wixie format. Again, you're going to see along the left-hand side all of the lesson as components. It includes pieces where the students may have to type or insert images. It gives all of the directions for each page on the right side. And for you to assign it to your students or to make customizations, you'll simply click on the Customize button along the blue toolbar at the top. We also have embedded some videos and some brain breaks as well. So, one way to have students make connections between the classroom and real world is to do some activities that connect to a specific holiday or a time of year. And we have a great assortment in our seasonal activities tab. As you can see, you can click through each of the seasons of the year. Or if you click on this main tab here, it'll take us to our homepage, which has those buttons that will get you to those spots as well. If you scroll down on the main page, you also have some of the year long resources that we have curated, including our seasonal field trips, some information from Discovery Ed on their holidays and observations, as well as the path to get to month by month activities in Wixie and some activities in Literacy Pro. We also have a Festivals Around the World virtual field trip where students are introduced to different celebrations around the world. So these can be considered your general seasonal resources. As we click on the different seasons, you're going to see each page is set up with general activities and then specific to the month. So I'm going to click on the Spring tab to bring us to that page. And you're going to see that we have a little introduction. We have some of our virtual field trips that we think pair well with our spring months for Earth Day, etc. We have some of our general spring resources, and these range from lessons to student activities um, to kind of fun classroom community builders. So these are linked to our Discovery Ed Fix-Its, which are a grammar routine, and they are specific to the month of March, April, and May. So I clicked on the April Fix-Its, and as you see, it brings me into Discovery Education into a studio board. And when I click the next button here, it's going to give me the calendar for April. Each one of these dates, if I click on it, will jump to that slide. And each slide, again, has a piece of content from Discovery Ed, along with a sentence Fix-It. So there's usually two sentences with a specific focus. It's asking the students to correct these. This is something the teacher can project at the beginning of the day or at the beginning of writing, or this is something that you can assign to students as well. I love how there's a helpful hints tab where students can get little videos and tutorials on the skills that you're working on, as well as the answer key at the end. Coming back to our seasonal activities page, past the general spring activities, we have them specific to months. So for March, we're looking at Women's History Month activities. Again, it connects us to our Discovery Education boards for Women's History Month, but we also have some activities for students to do, like this one, which has them researching women's rights and talking about suffragettes. This one happens to be a Google template, so you'll see that Google has created this activity for Women's Equality Day. We're going to get a preview of this activity here, and the students are doing their research and then creating a one pager for that person. So as a teacher, I would go to use template. It would save to my drive, and then I could share it with students in Brightspace. I also have activities that deal with Pi Day, and of course, we have some of our March activities for St. Patrick's Day. There's also some stuff for Earth Day and National Crayon Day. And hard on this page to include a variety of academic areas. So as you can see, we have some math activities such as this equivalent fractions shamrock activity. We have some science stuff with our ecological footprints. And then of course, we're always trying to integrate our various cultures for celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So, a lot of awesome activities here. And even if you don't like it as is, think about coming here to get some inspiration or to customize something to make it your own. Coming up at the top, our last section here on our black toolbar is the More button, where you have access to several of our other sites. We have a separate highlighted area here, back to school activities for that time of year next year. So we created this back to school activities page because we had so many great resources that they really needed their own spot. So this will be up and advertised on a banner at the beginning of next year, but you can also find it under the More button. We have Meet the Teacher templates and activities. We love this one because it's sort of a Bitmoji room, as well as some options here for templates on how to introduce yourself to your students and families. And then beneath that, we have these activities that are designed for students to be completed either independently or in collaborative space. They're all about learning about that student and getting to know the classroom. So some of these are really cute ideas, like doing a search history, what their top websites would be if you looked at their search history. A reading selfie has them taking a picture of themselves with their favorite book. You can modify the Find Someone Who bingo game in a virtual setting, or even print out one of these templates to do with your students in paper and pencil. You can see that there's some of the same activities that we saw on some of the other pages, but it's all consolidated so that you can have a great start to the year. I love this one on goal setting. What a great way to start the year off. A summer snapshot to talk about what they did over the summer, and the list goes on and on. So check these out for next school year. Underneath the More button, we also have links to our popular sites that we've created. Paper to Digital is a great one if you've never seen this one before. This is a site where if you scroll down past the tutorial video, you'll see that you can search by project or by application if you have a project idea in mind. So let's say you already know you want your students to create a brochure, a three trifold brochure. That's what you traditionally do on paper. Here, you can search that by project and go to the brochures section. You see that we have dozens of them, different types of projects. And as you scroll down, you can see which applications would be best to use for that project. And it gives you a check mark of what features each application has that would help the students to create their brochures. And then if you click on the link, it's going to give you a link to task cards that show the students step-by-step directions on how they would create that brochure in this application. For example, how to do it in Adobe Express or Google Docs or Google Slides or PowerPoint. So if you don't have a template on Digital Takeout and you have a project in mind, Digital Takeout is an amazing place to go. You can see that we also have our Google resource page listed here, as well as our elementary tech connections, if you're familiar with those. And finally, the last one, our OIT resource pages, is going to bring you to a master page that lists all of our sites in one spot. And so this is going to be a quick way for you to access any of the pages that OIT has created. So that's a look at our digital takeout page. So again, to get to this amazing resource page, from ClassLink, you're going to want to find the Instructional Tech Resources folder, and you're going to want to click on Digital Takeout. For more information, be sure to reach out to your school's e-coach or contact one of your OIT teacher specialists. Thanks for watching.